Hey guys, I did a video earlier and it was why does the pros pick Falstad, and I feel like Uther is one of the biggest things right now, and I kind of didn't want to do Uther just because I'm pretty sure he's going to get nerfed very quickly. However, I do hear it a lot of why are people picking Uther now when they didn't used to pick Uther. So I wanted to get into that. Why are the pros picking Uther now? Why does he have such a high popularity? 89 out of the 90 matches that happened in HGC, as well as the mid-season brawl, he was either picked or banned. So why did he have so much popularity, and why was his win rate so high in all of these pro games? And that's really what I wanted to go over, as well as the builds that people are using with him, and then I'll end off what I did last time anyways, is I ended off showing some pro games, or at least one pro game, so you can kind of see where he uses the different tools that he has. And in this case, I will end off with one of the pro games as well. So starting off, I just wanted to go into what is the pro build and why is it picked. The most common builds start off with Wave of Light. This is his W, his I forget what it's called, but he shoots a wave of light, as you could say. He shoots a wave of light. It heals people and it does damage to enemies. This quest, you use it 60 times. It gives you a little bit of mana back when you use it, whenever you hit someone with it. And after you hit 60 heroes with it, either damage or heal, it increases the duration of devotion by 1 second. Now, devotion is the new thing that Uther has gotten in the last couple patches. And what that does is it gives you 25 armor if you heal someone. Sorry, it gives whoever you heal 25 armor. And 25 armor means 25% damage reduction. And it'll give it to him for 2 seconds, 3 if you complete this quest. That means for 3 seconds you're taking reduced damage. If you wonder how good that is, Morales' W, her shield that she can give people, is only 25 armor. Meaning, for what she has an entire ability dedicated to, he passively gives every time he heals. That's how strong it is. And that's why pros started picking him a lot. However, there's one talent that makes it a lot better. And at level 7, he gets something called Guardian of Ancient Kings. And what that means is healing a hero that is stunned, rooted, or silenced increases the armor bonus they receive from 25 to 75. That means you get a shield that's 3 times the strength as Morales' W, which already is a very strong shield to begin with, but 3 times the strength. Essentially, if someone gets stunned on your team and then you heal them, they're not going to die. That's how strong it is. It's so strong that at level 7, Uther gets the choice of cleanse and this, and the pros are still picking this, because there's no point in cleansing someone who's not going to die. Now, something that people that they don't really know is silence also includes polymorph as well as taunt. So remember that in the future. This covers most CC, with the exception of blinds or slows. Level 4, they pick Holy Fire, which is just, it burns enemies around you, and every time that you attack, it increases the damage of it, stacks 3 times. And a lot of people think that you get this for wave clear. It's okay, but really Uther shouldn't be used for wave clear at all. It's mostly picked up because Uther is going to be in melee range a lot, and he's pretty tanky. So that extra damage just could be that last little bit that you need to kill. And in pro games, they always pick Divine Shield. This gives invulnerability, increases their movement speed, and that invulnerability also includes Unstoppable. So let's say, for example, you've got an ETC on your team and he goes into Mosh Pit. You can give him invulnerability Unstoppable and no one can interrupt him. Meaning for 3 seconds, not only is he unkillable, but no one can stop him, and the entire mosh pit is just stuck there. So a lot of people used to combo him with ETC, and it was just incredible. Level 13, most people are getting Well Met, which is it's a talent for his stun that makes it to where when you stun someone, it reduces their movement speed and their damage dealt. And it's really strong because you can stun someone, and then when the stun's over, they're having a hard time running away, and they don't want to fight either. At 16, you get Benediction. This allows you to reduce the cooldown and mana cost of one of your abilities. And so what people do is when they're going to initiate, let's say for example it's Uther and Stitches or Uther and Dahaka. If Dahaka lands a grab, you pop Benediction. When the grab's over, you stun them. As they start running away and get that movement speed slow, you stun them again, and you follow up with a little bit more damage, and it's pretty much a guaranteed kill, and it's a lot of damage very quickly. So this is the main pro build that was used in the tournaments. Level 20, of course, you get Redemption. This allows you to come back to life after your death effect. This way you can stay in the front of fights, you can take a lot of hits for your team, you can blow all your cooldowns, and then you die, you can still heal people while you're dead, and then you come back to life with half your life. And it's an extremely strong level 20 talent. So this is the build that pros do. I want to look at the build that you can do to go up in Hero League, because Hero League's a little bit different. It's less coordinated. Things like the combos you do with Divine Shield you might not be able to do in Hero League, so it might be better to pick his other ult. Now in Hero League you can see the most played spec is down here, and it's the one that we saw. It's the pro build. I mean, talent for talent, exactly the pro build with a 62% win rate as of level 16, which is incredibly high for Hero League. Now, above that, we see it's played a little bit less, but with 2% higher, 2.5% higher win rate, and it's with Divine Storm instead of Divine Shield. And the reason that Divine Storm is so good in Hero League is because people are not that coordinated, and you might not be able to do an ult into a ETC, or you might not be able to ult a Genji as he's just melting people, because if your Genji's not that good and you ult him, it was just a waste of an ult. However, if you can get an extra stun and damage in, it's a great way to increase the potential that you're going to win the fight. So now that we've seen the builds and why all of these talents are picked as opposed to other talents, I want to get into a pro gameplay so we can actually see how they're abusing this passive and what they're doing to actually make Uther a prime pro pick, and why he's probably the best support in the game right now, and why personally I'm pretty sure he's going to be nerfed within the next patch. Alright guys, so I've started into this pro game. This was another game from Dignitas versus Fnatic. And on Dignitas we have Bakery is playing Uther, and in this game I will end up speeding up the beginning. As I said last time, the beginning in pro games is a lot different than the beginning in Hero League, just because a lot of times it's just playing together, getting vision, and then making sure that you can soak very quickly. So we're going to see, we should have people going up to soak very quickly, which we were going for a bait first, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of level 1 gameplay with Uther, just to kind of explain. All he's trying to do is use his W for wave clear and to stack up his W as fast as possible. So we can see he already has 2 on there. And one thing that's really important that I do when I play Uther is I try to take damage in between every W. You can take damage by just walking into an AoE, or as long as it's nothing CC related. This gives you 1 extra stack on your W, as well as this gives you mana back. Because remember that your W gives you 8 mana back for everyone that you hit. So if you're already going to cast it to heal someone else. So if you're always low, you're always just giving yourself free mana, and that's something that a lot of people don't even think about, including pros. I notice a lot of pros never take damage on Uther to get that free W off. Like he's doing it right here. He's taking a bit of damage so that he knows the next W that he casts will give him more mana back, as well as an extra proc on his W. So that's essentially level 1 gameplay. You want to push, you want to keep people up, and you want to get yourself to level 7 as fast as possible. So we're going to skip by, and we're going to move on to the level 7 area. And another thing to notice about the teams that are being played is Uther's on a team with a single tank and as a single healer. Now, as Uther, he doesn't do a lot of heals, so it's kind of a bold move. As well as only having a single tank, you know they're really entrusting the that Guardian of Ancient Kings, which we'll see at level 7, because if he can heal Anubarak while he gets stunned, Anubarak's going to be unkillable for about 3 seconds. So you can see he's kind of just going lane to lane with his team, and Anubarak goes in, he stuns, and then after Anubarak stuns, then Uther stuns, and Anubarak has one more stun to follow up. This is a great tool to roam back and forth because you're pretty much guaranteed to get a kill as long as it's not on someone who's too mobile. So if they can do that on Brightwing, for example, it would be a guaranteed kill until level 10. So here we see Guardian of Ancient Kings being picked up, and I want to show you how tanky it can make some of these people right when they get stunned. Now the stuns we're going to be looking out for is Polymorph by Brightwing, because that's considered a silence. Drag by Dahaka, which is considered a stun. And the rest of their group, they picked really well for not too many stuns. So we just have the drag and the polymorph. And that's something you want to do. If you see Uther on the enemy team, if you didn't ban him, you want to always make sure that you can... Well, they're not doing so great right now, but you want to make sure that you don't have any guaranteed stuns. You want things like slows and you want blinds. So right now, again, when you're playing in pros, you got to be very careful, but he doesn't want to miss an entire wave of experience. So he tried to stay close enough to where he got experience of deaths while he could still recall. So he only got one, but he could have gotten more. And if you saw right there, he got one extra W stack by using W while he was waiting for his mana to come back. And so he's stacking up very quickly. It's 5 minutes of the game, and he's already halfway done with his W. Same thing, he just got 2 more right there. And again, in the beginning, it's important to get that all the way up because that means that your passive is going to last a lot longer. So we're going to push through to level 10 really quick. There's a couple calls going on, but I still think we want to push through to level 10. Now, Uther, again, was a pretty bold pick on this map just because he doesn't have global. His wave clear isn't that great. So you're really... And these fights usually turn into a lot of pokes and long fights. So it was definitely a bold pick, but that's how strong people think Uther is right now. And he really is that strong. We'll see... Right here you have a stun, and he's trying to heal him really quick, and he got the heal off, which means that he has the 75 armor for 2 seconds. And he's just trying to get a couple heals off. He used his ult because that's his main tank, and he doesn't want his tank to stay CC'd the entire time. So he gave him the ult, which personally, I didn't feel like the ult would have been the best pick on this map, but in pro play it's kind of required. Because later on he may need to use it on Tychus, which is essentially their only damage. Their tool is going to be a good finisher, however, their main damage dealer is going to be Tychus. So a lot of times he's probably going to have to Divine Shield Tychus just so that they can get damage off. Right now they're just playing safe. They don't want to go in and fight while they've got an Abathur who's soaking, because the longer Abathur can just soak in lane, the more experience that they're going to get, and they don't want to be fighting an uneven fight until Abathur has clone back up. So right here, he got dragged and he got healed, and you saw the damage that he took was nothing. After that heal went off, no one did any damage to Anubarak. But then the second that that passive went off, Anubarak was just gone. So you could see the heal's very good, but he needs to get that passive all the way up, which he's only 3 away, and it'll last for another second. Once it lasts for another second, you'll see how these heals can make a character almost unkillable. So we're going to move forward a little bit. We want to see Uther back alive. This is all about Uther right now. We're going to start seeing some more plays coming up pretty soon. We've got a camp going in. Same thing. A drag goes off, he immediately heals. Once he immediately heals, everyone on the other team knows they can't do any damage to Anubarak. Now, we have this. He's going to stun right after, or at least he can, which he doesn't end up doing that, but you can stun right after Anubarak does his cocoon, and it's just a great tool because the thing about Uther and his stun, a lot of people you'll see in Hero League, they'll get their stun ready and they'll chase someone for like an hour. Well, Uther doesn't have anything to increase his movement speed unless he lands his stun and gets the talent at level 4. So there's really no reason that you should be chasing anyone. You should save your stun for situations that it's guaranteed. And the cocoon is a great example of that, where you can cocoon someone, everyone can move in, and you can follow up with a stun. Right here, they're just trying to get maybe a play off. Again, they play really safe in these competitive games. So we're going to move forward a little bit, get up to the point where we've got another, we have level 13, so you can see Well Met was picked. This allows them to slow people as well as reduce the damage that they deal. This will probably use mostly on Greymane or Genji. Genji in particular, because Genji's going to jump in, and then a stun's not going to... Not only can they maybe make a play, but they can also lower the damage Genji does. So it'll work out really well. And at level 16, he can get Benediction, so he can stun Genji twice. So they just played that objective pretty safe. They're going for a kill in here, and they got a couple stuns, but Cleanse was used so that he could save himself in the next stun. So this time you can see he's positioning so that he can stun right as they get out of Cocoon. But he does get pulled so that he can't do it right after Cocoon. He will... Oh, he used a Divine Shield on himself so he wouldn't die. But again, this is a great position for them because they're missing one of their tanks, and drag as well as his movement is already used up. So they can follow up and do quite a bit of damage. So as you can see, guys, Divine Shield has a lot of purposes. It's not just used to save people. In Hero League, a lot of times people use Divine Shield just to save people, but just that removal of CC is incredible. The fact that you can use that. Now again, we had a stun into another stun, and that Benediction just slowed him down. It was just a guaranteed kill. And that's why Uther is picked. It's just these plays, these little plays over and over and over. He's not really the one for the big plays. He's not a... like a Nubarak, for example, can jump in, he can stun, he can Q, stun again, rewind, uses E, stun again, followed by Q and stun again, and follow up with just, I mean, stun after stun after stun, and that's why a Nubarak is a playmaker. But Uther just does these small little battles, and he can win so many small little battles. And when it gets to big battles, if you stun someone and Uther's on the team, all he has to do, heal it, you can't kill that person anymore. So that Guardians of Ancient King will most likely get nerfed pretty soon. So they're going for boss right here. It's pretty safe in the fact that they already know that 3 people are bottom here, and if the other 2 try to get up here, they know that they could just follow up with a web and a stun and get a couple kills. So it's a safe boss. They don't need to go for this, but they do have the advantage because they still know that 2 are down here. So Zeratul ready to do a Void Prism. Uther's getting the tower, and they're getting a huge lead in damage. Which in the end ends up evening themselves out because they were a little bit behind. You can see in this game what's happening is they have 1 tank, they have 1 main damage with Tychus, and they're going to clone their damage. And then during fights, it all comes down to Uther. Now we have a web going on over here. They get him out quickly. This fight is turning bad for them, but we have a Divine Shield, which gives him enough time that he can get his E back off cooldown, so he was able to get out. Something that he probably wouldn't have been able to do without that Divine Shield. And the cool part about this is they wasted 2 ults to just pretty much use a Cocoon and a Divine Shield. They lost a camp, but they'll be able to kill the camp before it gets to their base. So overall, again, Uther got a lot of value out of that. Oh, it looks like Commandeer Odin was used as well, but still Uther got a lot of value out of that when blue team didn't really get that much just because of a good Divine Shield. So as you can see, now that he has this quest complete, it's very hard to kill the Nubarak because you pull a Nubarak, he just gets healed, doesn't take any damage. We're gonna move on and show just probably a couple more fights, show you how Benediction can be used. Now he has a double stun. So now, the cool part about this is most people use it for a double stun. However, he's a solo healer, so if his team takes a lot of poke damage, like they really can against someone like a Greymane, if they take a lot of poke damage, you can use Benediction and just do 2 Ws, and not only will you heal your team a lot, but you'll also give yourself a lot of mana back just because it reduces the mana cost of your next ability as well. So we've got a tower down here. Blue team's going to try to stop him, but you can see Zeratul's rotating down. Dahaka is going to recall and then probably use his trade to get down there. And we're gonna have a Nubarak play a little bit. Actually, maybe not. Now, I haven't watched this game first. I was going to use another example, but Uther kind of just stomped, so it wasn't really worth it. I wanted to find a map that was a little bit closer. And you can see everyone's getting a little low, so he might end up using Benediction for a double heal, but he doesn't. He's saving it for double stun still. So you can see another thing with Uther is he tries to position himself to where he can heal everyone. So you'll see if 3 people are there, he tries to position himself to where they're in a line and he can heal through the entire line. If there's only 2, he tries to just get really close to them so that he can just heal them both at the same time. And his W is his main heal, so you want to make sure that you're using your W all the time, especially if you got that talent, because you'll be able to gain a lot of your mana back with that W, or at least break even with it. So it's very important. Now, you did see he got Holy Fire, so he does damage to things that are around him, and it increases when he auto-attacks heroes. It's okay for wave clear, but this is a big trap talent that a lot of people get in Hero League, that they immediately think that means that they're a wave clear. We never really saw him solo wave clearing. We see Dahaka doing it, we see Abther doing it, we see Tychus doing it, but we never see Uther doing it. And that's a big trap, is because Uther, even with Holy Fire and the W talent, he doesn't do very much wave clear. So it's more of just a waste of time. Alright, we're seeing some damage. I'd really like to see at least one time that he uses the Benediction for a double stun, but we may not see it this game. Let me speed up a little bit. Now, Bakery does also stream, so if you want to check out his Twitch, I can do a link in the comments if anyone wants to see it. Bakery's probably one of the better supports that streams, as he's on a pro team, but he also does Hero League quite a bit, so you can see how he plays differently in Hero League compared to pro games. Now again, they're thinking about doing boss, but this time you can't tell where anyone is. Last time they owned bottom, so they could see when people went bottom, so boss is a risk. They want to take a base so that they can do boss later, and they'll be able to see others. Alright, we have a cocoon here, and Uther's nearby. He's probably going to do a double stun. So 1 stun, followed by... I think he actually misclicked it. So that's another problem with the double stun, is because the stun's cooldown's so low, when you use Benediction, if you're mashing E, you're going to use your stun twice in a row. And I think that was the mistake that he made, was he was just mashing it so that he made sure that he could get the stun off right as it ended. And I believe he did a double stun at the same time, so he wasted it. It's something that you kind of need to practice. What I found works best with that is if you're stunning someone in the cocoon, it's hard to get it because you want to spam it. But if you're stunning someone that you're running up to, it's a lot easier to just press E once and just let your character auto path up to them. You'll get the stun off, and then you can wait and get your second stun off after the movement speed's about over. So as you can see, they did the same plan where they took bottom. They'll see 2 people show up bottom, so they know that they can do boss. And they didn't even see them showing up bottom, but they knew they would go down there. So they're going to get boss for free. And these are pro plays. These are things that you're probably not going to be able to communicate in Hero League, but if you can, it's definitely a good plan to try out. So we've seen how the double stun works, how the slows work, as well as his heals. We've seen some good situations of where to use your ult, as well as I've explained some situations like ETC or people that are really affected by CC. Like another good example is Butcher, for example. Butcher is probably one of the scariest people if he has all of his meat, but CC just absolutely destroys. Okay, right here we see him getting a little bit split from his group, but he just goes in. He did 1 stun, he did the second stun. If you saw, he did probably about 40% of the health of that Dahaka by himself. Actually, I do want to just go back a little bit because I do want to show how much damage he did do as a support by himself. Alright, so we're back at the boss, and I just want to go back down to this situation really quick, and I just wanted to show you how much damage you can do as Uther and what potential you can get. He gets split off from his group as these objectives spawn, and he's still able to do quite a bit in this fight. So Dahaka's coming in here. Watch his health. So he pops Benediction, he stuns, he auto-attacks, and he stuns, and he does about 40% of his health by himself, gets Dahaka out of the fight by himself. And, I mean, he does have the Abther hat for a portion of that, but still to be able to do that to a tank as a support when you got split away from your group is incredible. Now in this fight, he still has Divine Shield, and he's just watching Tychus as he's getting the objective, as his team's doing very well because the enemies are missing one of their tanks. So they're just completely running away. He hasn't needed to use Divine Shield. Actually, he did use Divine Shield. Anyways, I'm going to stop it here. You guys can guess who wins. And if for whatever reason you can't guess, you can go through and watch this game. This was one of the... I believe this wasn't one of the finals, maybe semifinals for Dignitas versus Fnatic. And I hope that explains a little bit of why Uther is picked by pros. He has playmaking abilities with his stuns in the small scale, nothing really large, no crazy plays, but in small scales where people try to jump on him and he can turn very easily. His Guardian of Ancient Kings makes people near unkillable if they get CC'd before he heals them. His new passive plus his W allows him to give armor to his entire team whenever he heals them, as well as the stuns he can slow with, Benediction he can get double stuns with, and Redemption, no one wants to kill him because he's just going to come back to life after he's done. So this build is incredibly strong, and this puts Uther as probably the best tank in Team League right now, and I would say one of the best tanks, if not the best tank in Hero League at the moment. So if you would like to be moving up in Hero League, I hope this guide helps by showing you why he's good and why the pros are picking him so much right now. Don't forget to check out Bakery's stream, as he does stream Uther quite a bit these days. If you guys like these videos, comment so I can learn to keep making them, make them better, improve them. As well as if you're interested in seeing why pros are picking certain heroes, feel free to leave a comment below. I watch a lot of pro games, and I pretty much can nail picking which team's going to win by the draft alone. So if you're interested in seeing that, or to see what my logic is behind drafts, I can definitely make a video behind that. Either way, thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you all later.